I've got a question. How do I make my sales team more efficient?
We all want a magic bullet to make our sales team more efficient, but the truth is it comes back to the basics. And if we're doing these, then we're likely maximizing the potential of our current sales team. That might mean we need different people on the team. So let's look at the basics. If we have a sales process and we've mapped it out and we've identified what's slowing us down now, then we can identify if that's a people problem, if it's a technology problem, if it's a process problem. We should be able to remove those inefficiencies. So that's the number one. Document the process, identify where it's slowing you down, and remove those inefficiencies. Next, look at how your reps are spending their time. I'm always blown away by how few salespeople document their day in their calendar. This is where we live, people. We book demos, we book follow-up calls, and the rest of it's just total blank space. It's an empty wasteland. But the reality is if we can identify how we're spending our time, then we can improve how we're spending our time. We've probably allotted way too much time to preparation for internal meetings and other sorts of things, whereas we could be spending more time in actual selling activity. And that's going to make us more efficient. Are we holding weekly reviews of performance? Meaning, are we looking at the inputs across quantitative and qualitative areas for each of our sales reps? If we're not doing this, this is the basics. This is where we start. Do we have incentives that are aligned to the outcomes that we want? There are things that we can do to incentivize our sales team to get to the places we want them to get to be as efficient as we want them to be. Sometimes we think that that's just what comes with the job. They have to hit a certain number of activities per day. That's what we think of as efficiency. But the reality is we want that efficiency to generate some outcome. So we need to align our incentives so that they do the work that gets them to those outcomes. One of the other areas we see teams struggle is the number of distractions each member of the team has, or the team as a whole. So we want to remove distractions. This could be things in their workspace or the workspace itself, where they are. Are they working from home? Are they working from an office environment? Is it quiet? Is it heavy in distractions? Who are the people around them? Do they have a lot of meetings on their calendars? There internal stuff taking up their time that they could be selling? Are they working on things like bad data that they have to go find new contact information themselves, or can that be handled by someone else? And are there any technology issues like, oh, their headset isn't working all the time, and so they're constantly having to unplug it, plug it back in, turn it off, turn it on, get new batteries? Those sorts of little things can actually steal a lot of their time and attention. So if we want them to be more efficient, we've got to remove every one of those distractions possible. This can be a distraction team-wide, or it could be personal to each individual rep. Finally, we have to hold people accountable. When we talk about a level of efficiency we want them to attain, we have to hold them accountable to that level. First, make them aware. What are we expecting from them? Then tell them when they're not reaching that level and help them identify a path to reach that level of efficiency. So if you've got a secret hope that your team is hitting 120 calls and 5 meetings booked a day, but they don't know that, that's your first place to start. And if they're aware of it, but they're struggling, break it down with them, work with them closely, but hold them accountable. Let them know that if they cannot attain that, they need to be working toward it, or they're working themselves out of a role.
Have sales questions you want answered? We'll be happy to give you our opinion. Send them to questions@nofluffselling.com.